Hello everyone, welcome to Stock Talk Game, channel where we game, you win. We essentially what we do on the channel is we do a live stream every Friday night on Twitch, or Saturday actually we changed it, Saturday night at 7 p.m. on the West Coast. But we're going to start uploading videos separately on YouTube just to engage with everyone watching lately the last couple months. Even more. So more stock updates. It's going to be mostly technical analysis, kind of charting stocks that we think are ready to move, stocks that are undervalued, things like that. We'll also throw in some more long-term things eventually. But today the stock I have for you is Root. It's Root Insurance. So if you don't know what this company is, or maybe it's come on your radar lately because it's moved a little bit the last couple days, but they are a car insurance company where they're based in only an app. So they're kind of breaking the traditional realm of car insurance. I think they're an amazing company. They have some maybe foundational fundamental issues with their balance sheet and burn rate, but I think long term this is actually going to be an amazing company. Maybe once we get out some of the turbulence for the high tech growth names. But today I'm just going to do only chart analysis, so let's just jump into it. So at first you can see they IPO'd back in November of last year, and basically since the IPO they've been selling off. I made a trade on this back in December where I bought, I think it was around this 14-ish dollars, and then I held it up to about, I think, 20 bucks or something. So it was a pretty good trade, and I've just been keeping an eye on it because I really like the company, and eventually we'll make a long-term investment on it. But they still have some issues that I think they need to work out with the company. So for now, I'm just trading it and finding opportunities for a short-term investment. And so jumping in, so we saw it break and hit a bottom around the mid-May, so May 11th. We saw it hit a low of $8.19. And so since that time, I'll zoom in a little bit. Since that time, we've kind of seen it go sideways. So it hit a low and kind of back and forth. So this is very typical consolidation. So let's place a range on that consolidation. Let's just do it based on this candle, just for the heck of it. So it's kind of been consolidating in this range since May, so about a month, a little less than a month. But we're starting to see it potentially show some signs of breaking out. So this is what kind of caught my attention. We'll do a couple more. We'll do a couple more lines on the graph as well. Let's do two of them. We'll do one from here, and then we'll also do a second trend line. So these are trend lines. It's a very foundational tactic to use when you're trying to find trade setups. So this is something I've been doing for about the last 8 years. I started trading in the market and learning about the market about 10 years ago, and ever since then I've just been on this journey of learning as much as I can. The market's an amazing place to build long-term wealth, and so that's what interests me about it. But to get back to the chart, so we see, back when it hit this low, it was actually starting to break out of this more long-term downtrend line from mid-February, kind of where it peaked out. Didn't hit the all-time peak, but this is kind of where a lot of stocks were peaking. Some of the favorites like XPEV, PLTR, some of those stocks that people have loved quite a bit. So it kind of peaked out there, and since then it's been in a downtrend like a lot of high-tech growth stocks. But we saw it bottom, and recently, when it hit that low, we actually saw it breaking out of this first downtrend. And so let's look at the second mark. So we see the second downtrend line from the shorter term. And there's actually something really positive about this. So you see it hit 2 points. You need at least 2 points to find a downtrend line. But right here we see it break out of this one. So we saw first breakout, that's good. It broke out, consolidate. You see that it happened a lot with stocks, as when it breaks out of those long-term downtrends, it starts to consolidate a little bit because people are starting to consider it as a potential a trend reversal. And so that's kind of what you saw here. You saw people starting to buy in this short little period. This probably would have went on longer if it wasn't for AMC, all the short squeezes happening in the market, and I'll talk about that in a second with Root. But we see it consolidate, and we started to see it break out. And so right now in the markets, it's June 2nd. We're seeing all the meme stocks, as people like to call them, breaking out in the market. So AMC's had a crazy, going up crazy. GameStop as well, not as insane this time, but still going up, as well as Nokia and all these others. In the past they were high short names, and so I think Root is actually a name being kept out of that short squeeze kind of list. I think it's the top. I think it's like the fifth or sixth top shorted stock in the market right now, and so we're starting to see, I would say, a little bit of squeeze here, but we got to see if it continues. But I think this kind of is important, is if we're seeing potential short squeeze, but we're also seeing it break a down trend line, and so that's actually making it extra bullish. And so we see here it broke out, it went up here, tried to break out of the zone, the consolidation zone. It actually broke out of it. I think it ended the day just above it. And after markets, I think it hit a high of about $10.20. But something really important for more of a long-term breakout is when it breaks out of a trend line, you want it to back test it. So whether it's a downwards trend line or a resistance, you want to see a back test. So we see it here. We see it somewhat back test this line. And so tomorrow we need confirmation of a follow through. Whenever you see a breakout for the first day, you could also consider this a breakout, but that's not quite strong enough. So we'll consider this the breakout. We need a second day to confirm that that breakout is, I guess, official. And so if we start seeing this breakout tomorrow, I want to start drawing a couple more potential resistant points for either a short squeeze, which could happen because it's it's a highly shorted stock right now, or a change of sentiment around the stock for potentially a move up through June and maybe mid-July, as I'm kind of predicting with a lot of the high-tech names. And so let's draw a couple of these resistance marks. So we see that there's pretty high resistance around here. That's one zone. I would say another zone is definitely here. This is probably where we see the most, if it does end up breaking through the lower price levels, this is probably going to be around the top, in my opinion, depending on how much volume we get. But that's another one. I think we got one more probably around here where there's a lot of consolidation and wasn't able to break out in the past. So I would say these are the three marks to look at if we see a continuation tomorrow for this stock and we start seeing more volume come in. So we see a breakout. We see a breakout of the consolidation zone. We see a breakout of the trend line. Very bullish. We also saw RSI kind of hang around this overbought for a while. And it's starting to move off that. So RSI on the daily being around a 50, it still gives a lot of room to push to the upside, which is important for this move. We look at MACD. We also see MACD break positive on the daily on May 27th. It's positive momentum, but it's not above zero yet. So it's kind of like a half bullish sign where it's showing momentum, but it's still technically in negative territory. So yes, look for a breakout tomorrow. If we see a breakout, it needs to break above the 50-day and this trend line. See how the 50 and the trend line are around the same price? This always happens to market. You also see it right here. There's resistance as well as the 100-day there. So tomorrow or the next couple of days, it's definitely going to test we see more volume come into the upside. It's definitely going to test this 50-day. If it breaks above the 50-day, we can even draw another resistance point here just to keep it kosher. So if we see it break above this 1050, 1070 range, we're definitely going to see it go to 12. If we still see volume pouring in, then we're definitely going to see it break past 12. And I would say my ultimate target, if we see a lot of volume come in and a short squeeze, is somewhere between $13 and $14. But if you buy in and you think you're happy with, what is that, like a 10, that's a 20% gain to $12, and definitely take maybe half your profits and then let it run and see if you can make some more off of it. So that's kind of my short-term prediction if we see a short squeeze happen. But I always want to talk to if we do see a trend reversal overall for the stock. So we do see a new trend line to the upside started. So we see a double breakout here of a downtrend, then another breakout of the downtrend. There's not really any other close downtrends. I would say the next one is like way out here somewhere if we really want to draw some more downtrend lines, and that's about the same. So this would be the only other downtrend line that we have on the graph, which is that's a good thing that we've broke out all short-term downward trend lines. And so this is a line I'm going to be looking for. If we don't see a crazy short squeeze, or if we do see a short squeeze and we see it come back down, we want it to hold this line. I think June, maybe part of July is going to be really, in my opinion, bullish for high growth tech stocks after they've been sold off, kind of like Root has. We've seen other names like XPEV, PLTR kind of bounce off their bottom already, but we're seeing a lag in some stocks, and I would classify Root as one of the stocks being laggard, and I think it's mostly because there's not as much hype around this stock. But we just want to see it hold this trend line. So if we don't see a squeeze, crazy volume come up and push us up, 10, 20, 30% in a day in the next couple, we want to see it hold this trend line. And so just like I said last time, around that $11 price is going to be a big part of resistance if it holds this line. And you can kind of just work up this trend line into the resistance points. And so it's the same story whether it's short squeezes over this next week and we see crazy push, and I'm going to be selling on that because I'm going to take the gains. But if we don't see it short squeeze, let's just see if it keeps this line. If we see it keep this line, I definitely think through June we're going to see an uptrend. And honestly, like $14 is about the max for me, in my opinion. We do have a gap that was technically never filled up here, so it could maybe go to $15, $16 if we see a lot of momentum. Let's draw another trend line, longer one here, just for the heck of it, to see where this trend line, downward trend line, and upward trend line meet. So, ironically so, it about meets at that gap. Bro, this is crazy. This is the power of charting, everybody. So if we draw this double top happen here, we also see it in this intersection. So if we do see, it hold this trend line and we see it continue to gain momentum, the ultimate peak, if it doesn't break this trend line, is probably going to be around this $15 mark into mid-July. So these are the two scenarios for the stock. I love Root long-term. I don't think it's a long-term buy yet, but I do think we can potentially see some upside. So one scenario is short squeeze because it does have a high short float right now. And so we kind of saw those different resistance marks. Needs to break the 50-day. If it breaks the 50-day, you can have 20 to 40% upside in the next few days if we see enough volume pour in. Here, it's still pretty low volume, so we're going to need to see a lot of volume come in. If not that, then watch it hold this trend line. Put a trend line on your graph and just see if it holds it and it keeps breaking these resistance points. If that, I would maybe take some off the table if it hits $12, and then if it hits 14, take a little bit more off. And then if it can get up to 15 bucks, sell out there. So that's just a short technical analysis on Root stock. I love the company. I think it's a buy. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you thought this content was valuable, please hit a thumbs up on the video. It helps us keep going at Stock Talk Game. Check out all our socials, so Instagram, Twitter, everything, Twitch at Stock Talk Game. And then we stream every Saturday night where we answer live questions as well as kind of cover how the stock market's looking and how the economy in general is looking and kind of our outlook on things. We cover both stocks and crypto. So we'll do that Saturday at 7 p.m. West Coast time. But yes, thanks for watching. I appreciate it so much. And this is where we game and you win. Thanks for watching.